Now we welcome a distinguished guest who is receiving an honorary degree from the university, and I am pleased to ask Professor David Bates to present Mrs. Helen Morment.
Provost Chancellor and honoured guests, our honorary graduate today, Helen Morment, has spent the last 20 years fighting to enact better treatments for a cancer that was initially for her very personal. Cancer is still a fact of life for people throughout the world. Half of us will get cancer in our lifetimes, and at the moment about a quarter die of it. Cancer research has progressed substantially over the last 40 years, so that now in the UK, half of those diagnosed will survive, living either with or beyond it. But for the other half, their cancer can define their final years. For people like Helen, fighting cancer becomes a mission not for oneself, but for others. The fight against cancer requires people to understand it, to prioritise it, and to enact change that will make a difference to people when they develop cancer. And although half of us will get cancer in our lifetimes, that also means that nearly all of us have loved ones that are affected. And for some people, their cancer diagnosis is bewildering. If you go to the doctor with a lump in your breast or in your testicles, then a diagnosis of breast or testicular cancer, while difficult, disturbing and distressing, carries some meaning. There is and has for many years been many sources of information about your diagnosis. Treatments are available and in many cases curative. But for some cancers, even the diagnosis is incomprehensible. Cancer of the bile duct, which is called cholangiocarcinoma, is an aggressive, rapidly progressing cancer with usually a fatal diagnosis. The survival statistics are similar to pancreatic cancer, which many of you will have heard of. The number of people dying each year from cholangiocarcinoma is more than the most common lethal brain cancer. But the awareness of it has for many years been extremely poor. In 1997, Alan Morment, a 52-year-old father to Tom and husband of Helen, was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma. Helen and the family were shocked at how little information could be found out about this type of cancer, and how little even the clinical team knew. Alan was initially told there was nothing that could be done and was told he was unlikely to survive for more than a few months. However, the family's research indicated that treatments were available and Alan was able to undergo surgery. Unfortunately, the cancer came back and he died in 2000. But afterwards, Helen resolved that nobody should have to experience the hopelessness, confusion and frustration that they had felt due to poor awareness of the disease, not only by patients and their families, but also by the clinicians involved in their care. She set up the Alan Morment Memorial Fund, or AMMF, in 2002 to raise funds to increase awareness and research into the disease. This was the world's first and is still the only UK charity dedicated to cholangiocarcinoma. Since then, the charity has raised over £6 million in total, including over £1 million this year, and funds research into cholangiocarcinoma all over the country, including in Nottingham. Perhaps more importantly, Helen's energy and passion for this project has enabled patients and family voices to be heard in how and what research is undertaken, with principles that are clear. Without awareness, there is no funding. Without funding, there is no research, and without research, there is no cure. Helen understood early on that increasing research into cholangiocarcinoma from government, from industry, and from the public required data. From setting up websites and Facebook groups to coordinating patient and scientific meetings, often combining patient with clinical and scientific meetings, which is unusual, she improved how people have come to terms with their diagnosis and could find out more about it. She has been instrumental in ensuring that we now know how many people are affected, information that was not readily available due to the intricacies of recording diseases differently in different places. We now know that about 2,800 people died of cholangiocarcinoma in England each year, and that this number has been increasing over the last 20 years, although we still don't know why. Since starting AMMF, Helen has been instrumental in the development of new clinical trials that have significantly altered outcomes for people with cholangiocarcinoma. Access to surgery, information, and drug therapies has improved as a consequence of her work, and she continues to advocate for a more widespread approach for fair and equitable treatment. There are now 4 drugs where clinical trials have resulted in their approval specifically for cholangiocarcinoma, supported by a combination of public funding and industry support. And life expectancy for cholangiocarcinoma patients who can access treatment has doubled since 2002. Research into prevention, diagnosis, awareness, and treatment have all reached through into patient experience, such that almost half of patients are now able to have their cancer managed rather than being told there's nothing that can be done. Helen's determination, energy, and organizational skills have underpinned these achievements. She's developed the medical, legal, policymaking, and public relations skills to build this movement. The perseverance and dedication to the cause have been unwavering, such that 24 years after Alan's death, as a consequence of Helen's campaigning for, with, and on behalf of people with cholangiocarcinoma in the UK and worldwide, there is now hope for the next generation of patients. Pro Vice-Chancellor, to you and the whole congregation, I present Helen Morment as eminently worthy to receive the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
By the authority of the University of Nottingham vested in my office, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Firstly, let me say a huge congratulations to all of you. I'm especially honoured and privileged to be sharing this day with you, as after all your hard work, you've now reached such a significant milestone in your lives, and I feel immensely grateful to be here, and more humbled than I can say to have been awarded an honorary degree. Some 22 years ago, I set up a charity dedicated solely to a poorly recognised, little understood cancer, cholangiocarcinoma. Back then, a time when the internet was in its infancy and there was no Dr. Google to consult, there was no available information, no specific treatment, no support, no research, and seemingly zero interest in this disease, an appalling situation. So I began the charity to change that scenario for others, and over the years I've worked for better recognition of this cancer that no one was interested in, a disinterest which, over those years, has cost thousands of people their lives. Although the situation is still by no means perfect for so many, as the charity has grown and the work goes on nationally, across Europe, and with global collaborations, we are being listened to, interest is building, and improvements are being made. It's hugely important to me that I'm receiving this honour from the University of Nottingham, where over the last few years, inspirational and dedicated scientists, as well as exceptional medics, are creating what can only be described as a hub of cholangiocarcinoma expertise. I've been asked to share some inspirational words with you. Well, that was majorly daunting, but it led me to ask myself, what have I learned over the years? Well, in short, I've learned to question, to collaborate, never to take no for an answer. I've learned to believe in the value of what I was doing. And that's not always easy when you're being swatted away like an irritating fly. But if you don't value your work, how can you expect others to? And I've developed two valuable attributes, a thick skin and determination. So, to separate out some of those strands, keep questioning and never stop learning. It's curiosity that drives innovation and can lead to amazing changes and breakthroughs. Collaborate whenever and wherever you can. Be open to working with your peers, sharing your knowledge, and always value the perspectives of others. Some of the greatest advancements have come from collective efforts. Believe in yourself, trust in your abilities, have confidence in your decisions and in how capable you are. Develop resilience and determination. People will say no to you. Without doubt, you'll encounter setbacks, negativity, and challenges. But that's where the thick skin and determination comes in. Try to look on every obstacle as a challenge, an opportunity to learn. And lastly, do not underestimate kindness and empathy. These qualities will not only make you a better professional, but could also make a profound difference in the lives of others, human and animal. As the Dalai Lama once said, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. You've already accomplished so much, and all of you have the potential to achieve much more. So once again, congratulations to each and every one of you. You're on the verge of the future, and that future is yours. Make every day count. Carpe that diem, and keep on carpeing. Thank you.